Ladies and gentlemen, addictions and compulsions often originate from deep emotional wounds and unresolved trauma that reside in the hidden corners of our hearts and minds. These wounds create pain, confusion, and a sense of emptiness that many try to numb or escape through addictive behaviors. The cycle of addiction feeds off this pain, reinforcing feelings of shame, isolation, and despair. Forgiveness plays a crucial role in healing these emotional wounds, offering a pathway to freedom from the grip of addiction and compulsion. When we experience trauma or emotional hurt, our natural response is often to suppress or avoid the pain because it feels overwhelming or unbearable. Addictions and compulsions can become unhealthy coping mechanisms, temporary relief that dulls the intensity of emotional suffering. Whether it is substance abuse, overeating, gambling, or other compulsive behaviors, these actions mask the deeper wounds without addressing their root causes. Forgiveness allows us to confront and heal these wounds at their source, rather than perpetuating the cycle of avoidance and pain. The first step in using forgiveness as a healing tool is acknowledging the existence of emotional wounds. Many people struggling with addiction are unaware of the full extent of their pain or may deny it out of fear or shame. Forgiveness invites us to be honest with ourselves about the hurt we carry, whether from childhood trauma, broken relationships, loss, or betrayal. This acknowledgement is not about blaming ourselves or others, but about recognizing the truth of our experiences as a foundation for healing. Forgiveness helps us release the hold that past hurts have on our present lives. When we cling to resentment or anger toward those who have caused us pain, we remain trapped in a state of emotional turmoil. This turmoil can trigger addictive impulses as a way to escape the discomfort. By forgiving, we begin to let go of these negative emotions, creating space for peace and healing to enter. Forgiveness softens the heart and calms the mind, reducing the emotional triggers that often lead to addictive behaviors. Healing emotional wounds through forgiveness also involves compassion. Compassion for ourselves and for those who have hurt us. Addiction often carries with it a heavy burden of self-judgment and guilt. We may blame ourselves for our struggles or believe we are unworthy of love and healing. Forgiveness nurtures self-compassion by encouraging us to see ourselves as human beings who have endured pain and are deserving of kindness and grace. This shift in self-perception is essential for breaking free from addiction, as it replaces self-condemnation with acceptance and hope. Forgiveness also allows us to reclaim control over our emotional lives. Trauma and unresolved pain can make us feel powerless and overwhelmed, driving us toward compulsive behaviors that provide a false sense of control or relief. When we forgive, we reclaim our power by choosing to release the emotional burdens that keep us stuck. This empowerment is a catalyst for change, inspiring us to seek healthier ways of coping and living. The process of forgiveness often involves confronting complex emotions such as anger, grief, and fear. It requires courage and patience to face these feelings without running away. Yet, working through these emotions is critical to healing the wounds beneath addiction. Forgiveness provides a framework for this emotional work by encouraging us to approach our pain with honesty and openness rather than denial or repression. This emotional processing reduces the power of trauma to control our behaviors. Moreover, forgiveness helps dismantle the negative narratives we tell ourselves that fuel addiction. Many people caught in addiction believe they are broken, hopeless, or destined to fail. These narratives create a self-fulfilling prophecy that perpetuates destructive behaviors. Forgiveness challenges these beliefs by fostering a narrative of healing, resilience, and renewal. It reminds us that our past pain does not define us, and that we have the capacity to change and grow. Forgiveness also transforms the relationship we have with our pain. Instead of viewing pain as an enemy to be avoided, forgiveness invites us to see it as a teacher, a signal that something within us needs attention and healing. This shift in perspective reduces the need for addictive escape and encourages proactive healing. It empowers us to face our wounds with courage and curiosity rather than fear and avoidance. The healing power of forgiveness extends beyond individual emotions to the body and mind. Trauma and emotional pain often manifest as physical symptoms, such as tension, fatigue, or illness. Addictions can exacerbate these symptoms, creating a cycle of suffering. Forgiveness initiates holistic healing by reducing emotional stress, which positively impacts physical health and mental clarity. This integrated healing supports recovery from addiction on multiple levels. In addition, forgiveness encourages connection and support, critical components of healing addiction. Emotional wounds and addictions often isolate us from others, increasing feelings of loneliness and despair. Forgiveness opens the door to rebuilding trust and relationships, fostering a sense of belonging and community. This social support is vital for sustaining recovery and nurturing emotional well-being. Forgiveness also aligns with many therapeutic approaches to addiction recovery, such as cognitive, behavioral therapy, and mindfulness practices. These approaches emphasize awareness, acceptance, and emotional regulation, all of which are enhanced by forgiveness. Incorporating forgiveness into recovery strengthens these methods, providing a deeper emotional foundation for lasting change. Importantly, forgiveness does not mean excusing harmful behaviors or forgetting the impact of trauma. Rather, it is an intentional choice to release the emotional chains that bind us, freeing us to heal and grow. This distinction is crucial in recovery, as it balances accountability with compassion and empowers us to move forward without being anchored to past pain. The journey of healing through forgiveness is unique for each individual. It may involve revisiting painful memories, seeking professional counseling, or engaging in spiritual or community support. Patience and persistence are essential, as healing wounds beneath addiction takes time and care. Forgiveness acts as a guiding light on this journey, offering hope and strength when the path feels difficult. In the context of addiction recovery, forgiveness can be a turning point, a moment of clarity when we choose healing over despair, freedom over bondage. It invites us to transform our pain into purpose, our struggles into strength. Forgiveness creates a foundation upon which lasting recovery is built, enabling us to reclaim our lives from the grip of addiction. Through forgiveness, we begin to rewrite our stories, not as victims of pain and addiction, but as survivors and thrivers. We learn to embrace our humanity with all its imperfections, recognizing that healing is possible and within our reach. Forgiveness empowers us to break free from the cycle of addiction and compulsions, opening the door to a life of peace, joy, and freedom. In embracing forgiveness as a path to healing emotional wounds, we unlock the potential for profound transformation. We move from being controlled by our pain to becoming creators of our own destiny. This shift brings light to the darkest corners of our lives and illuminates a way forward, filled with hope and possibility. Forgiveness heals the past and shapes the future. It invites us to stand tall, to breathe deeply, and to live fully, free from the chains of addiction, free to embrace all that life has to offer. It is a journey worth taking, a gift worth giving yourself. Through forgiveness, healing begins and freedom is found. Forgiveness holds a profound power to break the relentless cycle of self-judgment and guilt that often ensnares those struggling with addictions and compulsions. These feelings of guilt and self-reproach act as heavy chains, binding individuals to patterns of destructive behavior and inner turmoil. Forgiveness, however, serves as a liberating force, enabling a shift from harsh self-condemnation to a place of self-compassion, acceptance, and lasting recovery. Understanding this process is vital for anyone seeking freedom from the grip of addiction. At the heart of many addictions lies a deep well of guilt, a belief that one has failed, disappointed others, or fallen short of personal or societal expectations. This guilt can become overwhelming, creating a sense of unworthiness that fuels further addictive behavior. When guilt is met with condemnation, it deepens the wound, reinforcing negative self-beliefs and perpetuating a vicious cycle of relapse and despair. Forgiveness interrupts this cycle by offering a pathway to self-acceptance and healing. Forgiveness begins with recognizing that everyone is human, flawed, and capable of mistakes. Addiction is often misunderstood as a moral failing, but in truth, it is a complex condition influenced by a combination of genetic, environmental, psychological, and social factors. Embracing forgiveness involves releasing unrealistic standards of perfection and embracing the messy reality of human experience. This recognition opens the door to self-kindness and reduces the harsh judgments that feed addiction. Self-judgment acts as a powerful trigger for compulsive behavior. When individuals beat themselves up over their struggles, it creates emotional distress and a sense of hopelessness. These painful emotions often drive a desperate search for relief, which addiction temporarily provides. Forgiveness, however, offers a different response. It invites us to pause, breathe, and respond with understanding rather than criticism. This shift interrupts the automatic patterns of self-punishment and opens space for healing choices. Guilt, when held without forgiveness, can morph into shame, a toxic emotion that convinces individuals they are fundamentally flawed or unlovable. Shame isolates and silences, making it difficult to seek help or believe in the possibility of recovery. Forgiveness counters shame by separating the person from their actions. It says, "You made mistakes, but you are not your mistakes." This distinction is crucial for rebuilding self-esteem and motivation to change. Forgiveness also fosters emotional resilience, a key component in overcoming addiction. Resilience allows individuals to face setbacks and challenges without falling into despair or giving up on recovery. When forgiveness is practiced, it nurtures patience with oneself, understanding that healing is a journey filled with ups and downs. This compassionate approach empowers persistence and reduces the fear of failure that often sabotages progress. Moreover, forgiveness encourages a growth mindset, the belief that change and improvement are possible. Addiction recovery requires learning new coping strategies, developing healthier habits, and repairing relationships. Forgiveness supports this growth by fostering hope and confidence. It helps individuals see their potential beyond their past behaviors and embrace the possibility of a better future. The process of forgiving oneself often involves confronting difficult emotions like regret, anger, and sadness. These feelings can be overwhelming, but forgiveness provides a framework for processing them constructively. Instead of suppressing or avoiding these emotions, forgiveness encourages acknowledgement and expression, leading to emotional release and relief. This emotional work is essential for breaking free from the compulsions driven by unresolved feelings. Forgiveness also plays a critical role in repairing relationships damaged by addiction. Many individuals struggling with addiction carry heavy burdens of guilt related to hurting loved ones. This guilt can exacerbate feelings of isolation and despair. Self-forgiveness allows individuals to approach reconciliation with honesty and humility, fostering healing in relationships. It empowers them to make amends and rebuild trust without being paralyzed by shame or fear of rejection. In addition, forgiveness helps dismantle the internalized stigma surrounding addiction. Society often judges those with addiction harshly, which can be internalized as self-stigma. This internalized shame can block access to treatment and support, prolonging suffering. Forgiveness counters stigma by affirming the inherent worth and dignity of every person, regardless of their struggles. It encourages seeking help as an act of courage rather than weakness. Forgiveness is also a vital component of many therapeutic approaches to addiction recovery. Practices such as cognitive, behavioral therapy, mindfulness, and 12-step programs incorporate elements of forgiveness to foster healing. These methods teach individuals to observe their thoughts and behaviors without judgment, to cultivate self-compassion, and to make amends for past harms. Forgiveness deepens and supports these therapeutic efforts, enhancing their effectiveness. The journey towards self-forgiveness is often gradual and nonlinear. It requires ongoing effort, reflection, and sometimes professional support. Relapses or setbacks can occur, but forgiveness encourages viewing these not as failures, but as opportunities for learning and growth. This perspective helps maintain motivation and prevents discouragement that can derail recovery. Forgiveness also strengthens spiritual well-being, which many find essential in recovery. Whether through religious faith or personal spirituality, forgiveness aligns with principles of grace, mercy, and unconditional love. Embracing forgiveness nurtures a connection to something greater than oneself, providing comfort, purpose, and strength during difficult times. Self-forgiveness creates a foundation for building a healthier relationship with oneself. Addiction often damages self-trust and self-respect, making it challenging to believe in one's ability to change. Forgiveness restores this trust by demonstrating that one's worth is not contingent on perfection. It nurtures a compassionate inner voice that supports rather than sabotages recovery efforts. Furthermore, forgiveness promotes emotional regulation. Addictions can be driven by an inability to manage intense emotions. When self-judgment and guilt dominate, emotions become overwhelming, increasing vulnerability to compulsive behaviors. Forgiveness calms the emotional landscape, allowing for clearer thinking and healthier responses to stress and triggers. Forgiveness also opens the door to gratitude and joy, emotions often eclipsed by addiction and self-condemnation. When we forgive ourselves, we create space to appreciate progress, celebrate victories, and embrace hope. This positive emotional shift reinforces recovery and enhances overall well-being. Importantly, forgiveness empowers individuals to rewrite their life stories. Instead of being defined by addiction and failure, they can see themselves as resilient, capable, and worthy of happiness. Forgiveness invites a new narrative, one of healing, empowerment, and possibility. The freedom that comes with forgiveness also encourages individuals to set healthy boundaries and make life choices that support their recovery. It fosters self-respect and the confidence to prioritize well-being over harmful patterns or toxic relationships. This assertiveness is a key factor in sustaining long-term sobriety and emotional health. Forgiveness fosters empathy and connection with others, which are vital for overcoming addiction. As individuals forgive themselves, they often develop greater compassion for the struggles of others. This empathy strengthens relationships and builds supportive communities essential for recovery. Moreover, forgiveness nurtures humility, recognizing that perfection is unattainable and that everyone is on a journey of growth. This humility reduces harsh self-criticism and promotes acceptance of imperfections, making the path of recovery more sustainable. Forgiveness also encourages present moment awareness. Addiction often involves ruminating on past mistakes or worrying about the future. Forgiveness grounds individuals in the here and now, helping them focus on actions they can take today to heal and thrive. In embracing forgiveness, individuals reclaim their power from the grip of guilt and self-judgment. They transform these burdens into catalysts for growth and healing. Forgiveness liberates the heart and mind, paving the way for a life marked by self-compassion, resilience, and hope. By integrating forgiveness into the journey of recovery, individuals break free from the chains of addiction and compulsions. They step into a new reality, one defined not by past mistakes, but by the courage to forgive, the strength to change, and the freedom to live fully. Forgiveness becomes a foundation for lasting healing, a beacon guiding the way toward a brighter, healthier future.